Hey, welcome back to the Metal Forge with Ben and Brandon. If you sat through our introductory video, you kind of probably gotten a little bit of an idea as far as the type of music that we like and listen to, but just for the time being, I think it'd be nice to have just a quick top five sort of metal albums. How was this for you? Like, you sent me the list like pretty quickly, and even when I suggested the idea, hey, let's just do like a top five kind of introductory sort of thing, you were like, yeah, I could do that. I was like slaving over these kind of. I was like,
maybe
I don't know
I
if I could
should
do
have.
top five.
maybe I should have slaved over it. I don't know. For me, it was like kind of a spontaneous thing because, I don't know. It was all about we're kind of using the word nostalgia again. Mm-hmm. But it was. These are albums to me that are just timeless. Like there's something that. I need to pop it in. It'll be like a smell in the air or something, or like first snowfall. I have to listen to something or whatever. I don't know what it is. Like it's just I have these tried and true records that have just. Yeah.
No,
we'll edit that part out.
Or not. I don't even care.
Yeah, nice job. That's really great.
No, I like that. I think that we probably both kind of had like different criteria, which I think is cool because I think if you say to somebody, "What's your top five favorite albums?" I think I like the spontaneity that you went with because I think when we're not both going to think, top five and have the same exact criteria.
No.
Obviously.
And sometimes like my top five, I'll like pull from my top 10 and stuff will
fluctuate.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, these are albums to me, like, I don't know, they're not necessarily like something that everybody's going to be like, wow, everybody picks that one. Like, I don't know, it's just, maybe they will be, I don't know. But like, they're just, they're ones to me, like they're associated to an important memory or something like that, I don't know.
Like that.
They get me doing things that I love to do.
Yeah, I like that. Go for it.
All right, so this is my number five. I can't believe I'm going to come out the gate with this one. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack in the comments, but I don't know. I love this album. It's just, to me, we talk about atmosphere and songwriting and all that stuff, and all right, it's Cradle of Filth, Cruelty and the Beast. And I remember first getting this album back when like Newbury Comics was like the place to go. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it still is in some places, but I remember looking, going down the metal aisle, and I was young and I was kind of just getting into the whole extreme metal thing, and people are probably going to be telling me that it's not extreme metal, but whatever, I don't care. It's so I saw that album cover and I was like, whoa, that's not something I should probably listen to, but I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
And it's got this, rad looking chick covered in blood in the bathtub, and like, I was young and angsty.
Impressionable.
I wanted to get it, so I took it home and I popped it in and I threw it on, and I was just immediately hooked. Like to me, and it just sounded like a Hungarian castle, and it was just like oozing with everything that has to do with like the reasons why you would love a Dracula movie, or I don't know. I just super connected with the record, and years later, I'm still writing riffs that it's like, it's like I can't help but get Cradle of Filth out of it.
Yeah.
It's like it is what it is.
That's awesome.
That's pretty much my number five.
That's a great one. All right, I will also stick with from going from the bottom up, and like you said too, this was hard for me in the sense that they kind of always fluctuate. Like my top 10, top 15 is always kind of fluctuating depending on like what type of mood I'm in. There hasn't really been anything that has really kind of inspired me in terms of like a death metal record.
But when it's good.
But when it's good, I chose The Fathomless Mastery by Bloodbath.
Great album.
That album has probably one of my favorite death metal songs of all time on it, Eosis, which has like some of the nastiest riffing. In terms of production, it kind of has that old school Dismembers intoned kind of tonality, but it's super clean. The production is great. The lyrics are so evil, and like Fathomless Mastery is not only has everything to me that counts in death metal. It's super melodic, but it's also just so gritty and grimy, and it sounds like you're like in hell, and that to me is just why I chose that. And for no other particular reason other than the songwriting is amazing, and that to me is just the pinnacle of what death metal can and should sound like.
Great riffs, great groove. gruesome content. You know, it's, Bloodbath is like dear to my heart as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I didn't pick them, but
okay.
you know,
Maybe in another life.
yeah, maybe in another top 5.
Yeah, exactly. We could always do segments where we could probably talk about Bloodbath for a half an hour.
Yeah.
So
in the time that it would take to take a bath.
yeah, in blood, like in Cruelty and the Beast. So actually, that's a strange relation there.
That's weird.
The woman on the Cradle of Filth album is in a bloodbath.
That's almost.
That's why we both did those.
That's almost oddly too similar.
Yeah.
That wasn't on purpose.
No. Well, it is now. All right, so moving along to yours. What's your number 4 going to be?
So, melodic death metal is dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the old school stuff, you know, I love Dark Tranquillity and
Hell yeah.
you know, even Soilwork and like that Northern European sound is just from the 90s is so dear to my heart. So some people, this is probably going to arise some comments, but you know, just because this band has so much controversy behind them, but they're super important to me. It would be In Flames, Colony. Just awesome riffs, like, and the album sounds like the cover to me. I can't explain that really,
Yeah.
but it just awesome riffs front to back, like great headbanging moments, and you know, it's just that material that everybody like who's a big In Flames fan, you know, from the older days is like, you know, let's throw on Colony or Horacle, or I even love Clayman. Sorry to people who didn't like Clayman, but you know, the true people will be like, you know, go all the way back to like Jester Race and Black Ash and
Right.
Inheritance and all that stuff. But I don't know, Colony's the one I always pop in. It's
Awesome.
just,
That's
and
a great pick.
It's super inspirational too.
Yeah, that's a great pick, man. I'm all about that. My number 4, just and these really don't go in any particular order in terms of like what I like the most or whatever. My number 1 is a pretty solid number 1, but everything else is going to kind of get shifted around as time goes on. I chose Draconian Times by Paradise Lost. The goth is very, very heavy on that album. But it's also just like a very raw production. The lyrics are, they don't even like make sense to me when I like read Paradise Lost lyrics. I'm like, these don't make much sense, but like they're still like agonizing and they're still just like
It's expressive.
sorrowful, very expressive about the mood. And that album to me hit me at a time period where like I started realizing I was depressed, and like I needed a piece of art that could speak the things that I was feeling, and that was why I chose that as my number 4.
So these are really in no particular order for me either. Probably could have came out the gate. Well, my number 1 is my number 1, so
For sure.
that probably doesn't make any sense. Don't get confused. Number 3 for me. I don't know. All these are from like when I was younger, so maybe
Yeah.
I just like want to be a kid again. I don't know. Maybe it's the gray on my beard, but anyways, this one's super important to me. Picked it up when I was, you know, in I think late high school or something. But it was Opeth's Blackwater Park.
Awesome.
It's just killer death metal riffs, but contrasting with these beautiful clean sections and awesome clean vocals, and it's just all the songs are super long and they're wonderfully orchestrated. The bass parts are amazing, and like the drums are so loose, and like there's even, I don't want to say mistakes, but it's like you can hear the looseness in the playing, and I love that part about it. And it sounds like you're in like Murky Waters,
Right.
which is an awesome song by
That's true.
but that album sounds like you're in the cover. I mean,
Right,
there's
yeah.
kind of a theme here, if you haven't figured it out, that I like whole encompassing kind of things. And that album, it just, every single fall, I throw that album on.
That one is really when, and rightfully so. And like, here's the thing: is like you can say a band has sold out or whatever, and blah blah blah, but like Opeth deservedly so got popular because of that album. Because that album is so accessible, but it's also, like you said, everything about it is just so unbelievably orchestrated, and the performance is incredible. The musicianship is incredible, and it's just something that I think everybody you don't even have to be a metalhead to enjoy at least a song off of Blackwater Park. Moving on to my number 3, we're already on number 3 here. The album that I first got into by this band, but it's the one that means the most to me, I guess, and it's Anathema's The Silent Enigma. Again, as you said about your last thing, I'm kind of showing themes here in terms of like just very moody, very raw emotions. I love the way Vincent Cavanaugh, I believe, is the vocalist in that.
Probably butchering his name, but it's fine.
Yeah,
we love
yeah.
you, either way.
Yes, thank you for your performance on that album, because I just love his vocal performance on that album. It is just agonizing, and the way
It's so different from their new material.
yeah,
but it's great.
Yes, I like new Anathema a lot too.
I love that.
But the one that really deserves my top 5 metal albums is Silent Enigma, because it is just gut wrenching. It is full of just raw emotions, and those riffs, man, like that is to me like pinnacle '90s melodic doom death metal riffing right there.
It's great. And the production on it is like, it needs to be that way.
Right, exactly.
You
I
know?
wouldn't like it if it was like more polished.
No, it sounds so good.
Yeah.
For me, number 2, this is a great record, dear to my heart. We've listened to it camping, I think, 1 billion times.
Yes. I think
At
every time
least.
we go camping, like we throw it on.
Yeah, and it's just so perfect for that atmosphere. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, this album is dear to their hearts who love metal, and that's Agaloc's The Mantle. When I first heard In Our Shadow of Our Pale Companion, that is just like, to me, like one of the most perfect songs. You know,
Yeah.
like it starts out so moody and just awesome, and then you get these like really open black metal chords, and it's kind of a slow song, and it's like you're not used to black metal being that way, and it works so well. Every time I've seen them live, they just crush, and that album is just front to back to me like one of the most perfect records ever. And it's like one of the reasons why I own an acoustic and, you know, play acoustic riffs and can never write a happy riff. And, you know, it's dear to my heart, and it's something that'll never leave my circulation.
That I think is a brilliant number 2, because that came very close to being on my top 5. But you showed me your top 5 kind of early on in the process, and I was like, all right, at least one of us said The Mantle, because if it wasn't you, it was going to be me,
Yeah.
because that one, I will say that you influenced me a bit with your top 5 when you showed me. I think if we would have kind of sprang our top 5 on each other, I think we probably would have had a couple, at least that one as an overlap.
Oh, easily.
At least that
Maybe
one as an
even,
overlap.
no, maybe not the other ones, but
Yeah, well, that's why I tried to kind of pick ones that like were like me and not so much you.
yeah.
What? But my number 2 is an album that kind of flew under the radar, I'd say, unless you're like really, really into the melodic doom death scene, and it's Rapture's Songs for the Withering. I never thought that you could like mix incredibly moody atmosphere with like upbeat, driving, groovy riffs.
And
that's
awesome the way
front
they
to
do
back.
it. Yeah, and they
front
have
to back, that's what it is.
the simplest drum beat.
Yeah.
Goom ga, goom ga, goom ga.
The contrast between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals, the way that the leads really carry the whole album. You know, there's just so many memorable leads on that CD. There's so many memorable, the clean guitars sound just as amazing and beautiful as the clean vocals, and then you have this contrast with like these harrowing guitar melodies. Man, dude, just thinking about that album just like gives me goosebumps. Like, it's just such like...
He even has a tattoo.
I do. I have a Rapture tattoo on my arm. That's how much... And
Big
it's
fan.
inspired by Songs for the Withering. Just an absolute killer album for me, and it had to be in my top 3, or else I couldn't live with myself. So, moving on to yours.
I just realized I don't have any tattoos. I probably should I just get this top 5 like
As a list. As a list.
yeah, just like pieces of the album artwork. The next video, I have tattoos of like
Oh wait,
my top 5.
we're on your number 1
We're
already.
on the number
Wow.
1.
All right, here we go.
And I realized the lighting should probably be different for this number 1.
It should.
But this band is just the bread and butter, quintessential, most important band to me, and I don't think I could pick another number 1. And I don't actually. Maybe that's a clue right there. But this band is just, they mix crushing gothic stuff with doom and just doom and gloom and even some hardcore influences. And it's Typo Negative's October Rust. And that album to me is just the soundtrack to everything that's related to the fall and just great beers and great times with friends and like just us being knuckleheads and singing the lyrics dumb and like I don't know, it's one of the best parts about like picking this list was like actually just putting this on here and being able to talk about it because it really is that important. And like even things like being a guitar player and a bass player, like, and watching how they orchestrate things, like that was one of the best ways for me to learn how to do like interesting songwriting, because they take influences from like the Beatles and like hardcore bands that they loved, and that whole New York hardcore scene on top of doing like gothic rock / doom. It works so well. And like Peter Steele is just a legend, and he's dear to my heart. Miss you very much, Peter.
Rest in peace.
It's just an album that's completely timeless, and I think I've listened to it. I don't even know how many times. I probably couldn't even.
Yeah, I think that's another one that every time we go camping, there's always a time where we go camping in somewhere late in the night when everyone's really buzzed. Typo Negative always comes on. At least either October Rust or any one of their albums. Just that's a great number 1, and I see that very much. As having influenced your playing, your songwriting, and
just me as a person.
As a person, really.
Like I'm such like behind the I don't know, like this is a band that I actually really do admire the members because they don't take themselves seriously, and that's something like humble is one of the best qualities in my opinion for somebody to have, and like that's just something they have in spades. Like if you watch YouTube videos of them, they're goofing around and they're playing like this like super intensely emotional dark music, but they're total goofballs, and like I don't know, I love that, and I connect so much with that part of it. And I feel like that dichotomy of like their goofball attitudes with such dark music, I don't know, that's just something I just totally gravitate towards. So October Rust.
To me, this was, in our last video we talked probably for about 10 minutes about Metallica and
Oops.
Yeah, right. Master of Puppets was the first one that I bought, but the one that like really just took it to another level for me was my number 1, and that is Injustice for All. Unfortunately, you could say what you want about the bass playing or whatever, thankfully people have come out of the woodwork and like re-recorded the bass or added the bass back on or whatever.
Injustice for Jason.
Injustice for Jason is a great listen for those of you who haven't listened to it yet. I'm sure you can find it online for free somewhere. Sorry, Lars, but I got to plug Injustice for Jason. But man, like, I love emotional content in all kinds of music. Usually I kind of lean towards like sorrowful stuff, but this album is just so full of like anger and angst, and mixed with some sorrow because they just lost Cliff, and the whole band was just so pissed off.
And the
you could
Harvester
tell.
of Sorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, full of sorrow in that song.
The Harvester of Sorrow is harvesting sorrow. So. It's getting late, huh?
Nah, it's fine.
That album is my number 1 because it just is quintessential songwriting. Sometimes I'll skip it for whatever reason because I've like listened to it like 200 times, but like 1 is like one of the greatest metal songs like ever written.
And watching it live is even more unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right. You saw them pretty recently.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah. So, I mean, Metallica's still out there killing it. They're another band that's just out there slaying right now. And we just I could not pass up Injustice for All just because of the songwriting on it is amazing. The inspiration to me, that just blew my mind. Like I was probably a few years into playing guitar at that point, and I was like very used to the kind of the more straightforward nature of Master of Puppets. So when I heard Justice for All, I was like, holy shit, this is the same band. Like
It's pretty different, but it's still got, the main DNA there of great thrash metal,
So that's it. That is our top 5 Ben and Brandon metal albums.
Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. What's your top 5? If there's something that, maybe we haven't checked out. There's actually a lot of old stuff that we've missed.
Plenty of it.
Yeah.
Plenty
Suggest
of it.
something. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching the Metal Forge. Tune in. Tune in?
You want to redo the ending?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, actually I do. That was our top 5 Ben and Brandon metal albums. If you have something, leave us your top 5. I think there's...
Let's get a discussion going.
Yeah.
Talk about something that influences you, or that's something that's never really left your MP3 player, your CD player, tape player, whatever it was. Let's get the conversation going.
Hell yeah. We love a good dialogue, and we want to know what's on your mind and what's in your playlist as well. So thanks for watching the Metal Forge. See you next time.